So if we start to take this path, even if we don't finish it, if we make some advancement in this life, in the next life we'll continue from where we left off. The point is to accept that the greatest meaning or the greatest pleasure, the greatest value in life is in this pure devotional service in the mood of conjugal love. And if we start measuring everything by those values, by that direction, you see, then we'll inevitably attain that goal. Not right away, because it's a very, very lofty goal. It's more akin to a purpose than a goal, actually. A purpose is a direction that you set and never expecting to actually reach there. But because that has the greatest value, you take that direction as a purpose. And you constantly execute different activities that contribute toward that purpose, and that way you make a great advancement in life. So we want all our students to make the greatest advancement in life. And they can do this if they take up this process of pure devotional service in spontaneous conjugal affection for the Lord. See, these are our values. These are our values, and we measure everything according to those values. So if we see, for example, that following strict external rules and regulations takes away from that value, then we don't accept that process. We accept a more relaxed process that leaves room for individual spontaneity. You see? For developing one's unique personal relationship with the Lord within. A more inner-based process that encourages spontaneous love and devotion. We want to encourage, and the way we do that is, see, we create this mood that emphasizes individual intelligence and desire. Not that we sit down and we try to stamp everybody out like cookie cutters, you know, the same. I mean, we do certain things the same. But, for example, if someone has a service to do, we'll sit around the table and we'll discuss who's going to do what. And we'll come to a consensus about what we're going to do and who's going to do different parts and stuff like that. And then everybody goes off to their rooms and they work independently. It's not like I walk around, you know, looking over people's shoulders. No, do it like this. You know, they're free to use their intelligence to get the result. You see, so that's how we encourage people to approach the spontaneous platform of devotional service. We don't give rigid rules. I would hate to live in, and I have hated to live in groups that had very rigid rules and very inflexible structures. Because I'm a creative person, I'm an intelligent person. If I decide to do something, I'm going to figure out how to do it. Thank you. You don't have to tell me. I mean, if I need some advice, if I get stuck, maybe I'll come to you and ask some questions. But basically, I'm going to take responsibility and solve it, whatever it is. And don't insult my intelligence by trying to tell me every little thing about how to do it. So similarly, I don't insult the intelligence of my students by trying to give them, you know, explicitly detailed directions. I mean, we do about some things, you know, like procedures like the Narayan Kavacha and stuff like that. But as far as like the general engagements of service that we do every day, no. It's all based on your intelligence, on your initiative, on your creativity, on your vision, on your relationship with Krishna, ultimately. Because Krishna is giving intelligence. So we try to encourage that by adopting a particular style of management, a particular style of organizational living, group living, community. So I got way off the track, but you understand how these things are all related. Any more questions?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Question from Ronald Singh and David Lugan, I guess they're related. How do we measure progress as a devotee? And are we the marginal energy or superior energy of the Lord? My current understanding of the term marginal energy is on the border between superior and inferior.
Well, those are two different questions.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. One at a time. The first question is, how do we measure our progress? Well, we measure according to the Adau Shraddha shloka. Adau Shraddha Sadhu Sango. You know that verse? Yeah. Tata bhajana kriyaha. And it goes on like that. The 10 stages. First comes faith, then association with devotees. Then one gets initiated by a spiritual master and performs sadhana under his direction according to the rules and regulations given in the scriptures. Then, when that process is complete, all the contaminations of material life go away. Anartha nivritti, this is called. Anartha nivritti. One gets rid of all anarthas. And then what happens? Steadiness. Steadiness. You cannot be steady as long as you have material contaminations. So once those material contaminations are cleansed, you can be steady in devotional service. And from that steadiness, you develop taste, ruchi. And from taste, you become attached. Asakti, right. And from that attachment, transcendental emotions develop, bhava. And then from that, prema, finally, pure devotional service, pure love. So we've been discussing a little bit here and a little bit there about different moods of bhava and different, when we reach the stage of studying the anarthas, for example, we'll quote from different scriptures about all the different anarthas that exist and what they are and how to get rid of them. But as you go step by step, you see, in the beginning, your service has to be guided by regulative principles. Then when the anarthas go away, then you can finally begin spontaneous devotional service. Because you have no more dirty things in the heart. Anartha nivritti. They all go away. So we measure by that verse. I've quoted that verse in so many forum posts. If you do a search on Adau Shraddha, then you'll find it. I've done whole charts and everything. How the 9 processes of devotional service manifest differently in the 10 different stages according to the Adau Shraddha shloka and like that. We've done very, very detailed analysis of all this stuff. It's all there on the forums. Go look it up. Now, what's the next question?
Okay. Are we the marginal energy or superior energy of the Lord? My current understanding of the term marginal energy is on the border between the superior and inferior, and where our consciousness is directed, we take on those properties.
Tatastha Shakti, yeah. Depends on where you look in the scriptures. Sometimes the Lord's energy is divided into 2. Sometimes divided into 3 categories. When the Lord's energies are divided into 2 categories, they're divided into the material and spiritual potencies, the external and the internal energy, or the inferior and superior prakriti. But when the Lord's energies are considered as 3, divided into 3, then they're the internal, the external, and the marginal. It just depends on which passage in the scriptures you look. What was the other question? There was something right at the end. Oh, yeah. The quality of the consciousness is determined by the nature of the impressions in the consciousness. So where you direct your consciousness, how you look. Oh, we went into a whole detailed explanation of that the other day too. Schrodinger's cat, remember? Did you hear that? Whether you look at the way you look at an electron depends on whether you perceive it as a wave or particle. Similarly, the way you look at the Lord's potency determines whether you see it as material or spiritual. If you see it as separate from the Lord, then it's material. If you see it as the Lord's energy to be engaged in his devotional service, then it's spiritual. So our perception of the world, our view of the world, depends on how we look at it, how we collapse the universal quantum wave function.